All right, hey guys, Sam with you here. We're late morning on Tuesday, January 30th. A little bit of a late start here. Very busy morning happens sometimes as we manage through what we're seeing here in Bitcoin. So clearly this was an obvious choice today. So let's take a look here now. I've got Bitcoin here. This is Bitcoin to the dollar. This is the daily chart on Bitstamp. So, it's not panic time yet. I mean, we were coming down. So clearly we're going to retest this low. All right, we're going to retest this low. So we're still certainly within the bounds of what would be a typical correction. Now, when we see this kind of movement, we've got to look at our counts here and say, well, what could be happening? And there are some bearish counts. And just eyeballing here, we can look. We've got the algo target here that's to be considered. Now you can, if I zoom in on this a little bit, you can see where that's coming from. So all I've done is taken this B high down to our last low, which was was very, very technical. We had the push up, and we're just a few shy of the 50 here, and now we're falling back down. So you can see here on the left side. So from that swing high to swing low, we've come up, tested the 50, and then we have an algo target down here. This is well below our 61865 pocket. So we don't need to assume that we're going there, but there's certainly a technical path here that would make sense if this C is going to enter. Let me raise that degree so it won't look so small here. So we can certainly look at this and go, well, that would not be unreasonable. It would be deeper, right? So all the bulls would like to see the 618 hold. Now, I can promise you there are a group of traders here that are vested in seeing this hold. Now, whether it does or not remains to be seen, but we may test it right while I'm recording here. But the broader point I want to make here is that if we look at where we are in the longer term count, which is still the count we would have to defer to until proven otherwise, our wave one high is way down here at just under $5,000. So if we're going to break through the 6.5, next target down here is this little hot box that I've drawn here, where we have the negative 23.6, that algo target from this 50, and then we're going to run into the 786 down here. Now that's we're getting down 7,500 range. That to me would be an interesting buying opportunity, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're not there yet. So we have some market geometry to deal with here as we come into this lower parallel. And I can assure you there's going to be a reaction here at the 618. Now, whether or not it holds and we get a bounce there, there will likely be buying activity there. But this is a pretty, looking at that daily candle, that's a pretty good push to get towards new low. So at the very least, we're testing this low. We're testing. So let's go down to a smaller time frame, conscious of where we are in the larger trend. Right? Sky is not falling just yet. So let's go over here. We'll go to, here's the hourly, right? So here's the same. Now I realize, of course, there's a lot on here and it's hard to see this. So this is what my chart looks like. So we got to look here and say, okay, we have been operating under the assumption that we had a 1 2 in white here. So if you can see it here in white, let me put the wave on and I'm going to clear this up so you can see it. But that's been the premise here, that we were potentially, this was the bearish count, that we had a 1, we had this 5-wave structure here, so we had this expanded B wave here into a C to give us the 2, down for our first test of the 618, which went right, it was incredibly technical, right? We went through that in a couple of videos back, right into the golden pocket here. We wicked the 100% alternate price projection and the negative 23.6 algo target. Very technical. We get the bounce. So the bearish count has always looked at this and said, well, if we're going to finish in 5 waves of the larger degree here, so A of it just as the outline of the pitchfork. If we're going to finish that C wave down here, we're going to finish it in 5 waves. Well, so now we look at this. So let me take that off just so at least you're clear. And here would be the larger C wave down here. All right, here's the 786, the 1618, the negative 100%. Again, I know it's hard to see that because I've got so many lines here. I'm going to clear that up for you. So the first thing we're going to do, let's take this wave off. So at least we can dig in there a little bit. Okay, so working on the assumption that I've got a 1, 2, here's the 3, I've got a nice ABC into my 4. So all you're seeing here, these are just fib pulls, right? So if I start taking these off, it starts to clear up a little bit. Now, we have here the modified shift, which has been, it's been influential here as we've gone from the 75 to the 75. We're not tagging it and pinging like you'll often see. If we go to original, it's too steep. So I'm going to stick here with the modified shift, which essentially is creating a channel for us, a very large channel. So here again, we may well be testing this. So all I've done here to get some of these targets. So here's the golden pocket right here that we tested before. Here's the the 618, the 65, the 100% alternate price projection. So if we look now and we just say, okay, well, all I'm going to do is going to take my swing high to my swing low. Okay, what have we done? Well, here's the 50, right, as we were just looking at it on the daily. Slight front run on the 50, and here's that negative 23.6 algo target. Right? So, I mean, not confusing and not out of the bounds of what a normal 5-wave structure would look like. It's a little bit, the 2 relative to the 4, a little iffy. This is more time, but complexity in the 4th, given this is Bitcoin, allow for it. I'm not going to change the count just yet. I mean, there is, I suppose, a case could be made that this is a 1-2, but I'm not ready to go there yet. So still, considering this a 4, well, if that's a 4, what now looks to be setting up here is as a 1-2. So I'm going to take this off just to declutter the chart. Here's the 100%. I'm going to take that off as well. Right, we can come back to that. So here I'm working with a 3. Here's my 4. Potentially I've got a 5 down here somewhere. So now we look at this and go, well, we've been struggling here. This is the range we've been stuck in. This is the first day we're breaking out. So could this be a 1-2? Well, it's certainly setting up that way. So if this is our 4 and we go down here to our 1 wave, you can see right to the golden pocket. So we get an A, B, C. Potentially here's our 2. So, algos are selling it there. So, again, you have a battle of algos. There's algos that bought the 618 here, and there's algos that sold the 618 here. So, who wins? Well, we shall see. But note what happens here. The negative 23.6 here is right in the pocket here. Now, is that the bounce? Well, there's, likely to be a reaction here. So, now we look at that and we think, okay, from an Elliott perspective, though, I know that my most likely target for my 3rd wave is going to be down here, right? As I've shown you in many videos, the negative 100% on the algo pull, on that first fib pull, will be very close to the 1618, which is the most common target for a 3rd. So if I draw it up and I just take length of 1, project it from the 2, right? You see here. So we get this window here. So again, it's kind of a, it's good to do it, right? Just to confirm it for yourself. But when the market's moving quickly, or you just want to draw something up quickly, you can draw that straight algo pull, knowing that the negative 100 is going to be very close to the 1618. So you've got a quick target. So here's first algo target right here, very close to the to the 100%. So that we can quantify this as a 3rd wave right here. See it at the 65, literally on top of the 65. Here's the 1272 on top of the negative 618. You see how these line up? So it just becomes your choice as to whether or not you want to add that extra component here. Sometimes they're a little off. So it's, I would encourage you as you're first learning this that's worth doing. So here's our potential 3rd wave target down here. Well, that's a long way down, obviously, right? So we'll see here now whether or not that's how this plays. So the other thing I'm going to do, just to declutter the chart a little bit, just so you can see it a little better, I'm going to take that out because we have a potential for another pitchfork here. Right? So I work from my 1 to what may be my 2 here. Certainly looks that way. I'm going to go to original recipe here. We go original and see where that sends us. Okay. So, here's your golden corner pocket right here, right? So, we know we've got that right there in the golden zone here, and we've got 80% odds. So that's the algos that sold it there. Here's their target. So here's the negative 23.6. Are we going to get there? I mean, it looks like we're lined up pretty nicely there. But so that would be 100%. So we could qualify it as a 3. But we've got other geometry down here to consider, and we've got the big target down here. Now, what is that? That's what are we at there? That's call it the 618 is at 68 20. Right, that's a little scary, right, for Bitcoin bulls if we're going to go down there. But certainly right now, that would seem to be the path of least resistance if we're going to break this right here. So this is the next big test right here. Can we break? Here's 100% the length of the one wave here, projected from the 2, sitting at the 65 at the intersection of the median line. So likely to be some reaction there, but. Does it hold? Are we heading down here to the lower parallel? Will remain to be seen. But it's kind of interesting to watch this because now we can kind of track it. So if you're long, you're concerned, right? So I'm long and I'm looking for opportunities to add, but you got to be smart about it, right? So if this is going to play in 5 waves, we've got more to go down here. We've got a lot more to go. So if we're going to catch a third down here in this high probability zone, then of course, again, I'm hypothetical here. I'm going to pull from that box down here. So let me take this off, just because I know it gets very hard to see. So this would be here the 50. Here would be the 38. So you have this potential geometry setting up. So if we're going to break, right, remains to be seen if we are. Well, then you're starting to get a path here that would be just textbook Elliott, right? So we'd be coming down here, and then we've got the larger target down here. Now we're all the way down to $5,000, so this is pretty substantial sell-off. Now here's the kicker right here. Here's the 786. All right, so that we got to be careful of, right? We certainly don't want to see it on that larger degree. So if I go back here, we don't want to see it take out this wave 1 high. Right, here's the 786. So that confluence zone that I'm showing you on the hourly is right here. Right, so if I pull this over, so that's the target 786. Here's the question mark. Are we going to break the 65? Here's the 233. So we've got a lot of technical confluence here, but the market's going to have to blow through this hard because there will be defense here. Bulls will be defending here. So let's go back here and look at this, knowing okay, that's potentially a path here. So if you're long, you got to think about this. Do you want to ride through that? You want to ride through it all the way down to 5,600? So that looks like where it could be going. It's hard to find a path here that doesn't resolve, at least in a 5-wave sequence, given what we see here, given this technical pivot here. So this swing here from this low right to that golden pocket. Now here's the first test. So we get this confluence here. So do you see it from here? We got the -23 right with the 618, all of this lining up. So let's declutter again and get this off of here. Okay, so first test, what happens, right? We wait and see. First, we got to get there, right? We're not there yet. So we're at this point, this low is getting challenged. This is the next one. Can they break it? So you start thinking to yourself, okay, if that were to hold, well, what does that leave me? What is my count? It's tricky to find one there that works, that makes sense with this. If this is the 3-4, it's a struggle to get an Elliott count that resolves here and stops. It's a tricky one. I mean, we could have an A, B, C. I mean, it's possible, but then we're not. Then we have to reevaluate the 5-wave structure that we have lined up here. So does that? It's hard. It's hard to. That would be unusual. Let me put it that way. That would be unusual. But here's where the technicals line up. So we got to see what happens there, and then reevaluate and say, well, maybe sometimes the best thing to do, as I've often said, is take everything off your chart and just bring it up absolutely clean, not a single thing on it, and get a fresh look at it. What else could this be? If we bounce here, if we get a bounce off of this, what options does that leave us? It's hard to get 5 waves out of that. It's really tough. Maybe ABC, and then but really all that does is set you up for another push down, right? It's really hard to find a bullish count out of this. So longer term, what you'd rather see is a path to this resolving. It doesn't need to be that low, but some resolution here so we can get a handle on it. Right now, it's hard to remain bullish here. It's hard to see a clear path to a bullish resolution here that doesn't have us breaking through these lows. But, we shall see. Tricky. So all the way over here, right, you can all the way down to the 15-minute. So you can see this is the last little spike. So we're getting a reaction here. So I've switched here just so I have some members that are trading it on Coinbase. So I had this work over here, and we see we've already pumped through this. So looking at this median line here, we'd have to go get the 2 or the 2.5 on that. Yeah, so we'll get the 2 and the 2.5 on that. You know, that's tough to call. So this was clean. So if we look here, so we take the length of the 1 from the 2. So we lined up, you can see it here, very, very spot on for the 3, right? So here's the 1618 to the tick, right? ABC into the 4, but now we're getting this extension in the 5th. You know, if you go to your oscillators here, there's absolutely no help, right? So you know this is going to be pinned down here. So this would imply, you know, third wave here. So it's hard to, again, you know, as bullish as I am long term, it's hard to find a resolution here that works. So if we have 3, 4, and we've now had an extension in the 5th, you know, it's possible. So we look at that thinking, okay, well, likely that's the 3 because of that reaction and what we see here. So do I have a 5-wave structure here that works? Well, you know, again, it's the same process. Can I get my hands around this? If that's a 1 and this is my 4, well, where'd we go? Well, here's the same thing right here. So this is an extreme for the 5th, but look what we do here. So here's that same box now here. Now we went through it by a couple of ticks, but there's the lower parallel, and then there's the reaction. So yeah, if that's complete, that would surprise me, right? But I mean, it has that potential. Here's the 618 down here on Coinbase. So we haven't gotten there yet, right? So you can see there's you know, so this, on the 15-minute here, right? It looks giant, right? That spread between the 618 and 65 looks huge. Right, we go over to the 4-hour, doesn't look so big. But you have this reaction here, so you know, I'm trying to find a bullish count that works, but it's just not there. So we'll have to see what kind of reaction here. So there's going to be a lot of resistance to fight through. So first thing we'd have to do, if that's a complete 5-wave, we got to take that low, and we got all this resistance to get through. All right, so here's the 38, here's the 618. That's a long way back, right? So that's 11,000 is going to push through. But, you know, we're getting the reaction. So if we go back here, we go back to the daily. So we didn't quite get to the 618. We're right in the lips of the Vegas wave, which we did before, right? But that tapped the 618. We got through a little bit. Front run, we shall see. We shall see. But, you know, I want to keep perspective here, right? This still right now, there's no way to look at that as anything other than just a correction. We're just correcting this giant third wave here, right? Still have a target up here. As long as this holds, that's still our 5th wave target. That's the first algo target, 23,685. So no need to panic just yet. Let's just, you know, look at it technically. Look for those confluent zones where we can look for opportunities to either be a buyer or step aside, or, you know, get yourself out of the market. Wait for, you know, smoother sailing. All right, guys, I'll wrap it there.